Hello everyone, so this is my October wrap up. I didn't end up getting around to do my August-September wrap up. I, like always, seem to be having a lot of things piled up and I just didn't get time to do it. So I'm trying to do this now before more things pile up. So I'm going to first state off the two books I didn't actually end up finishing or getting around to. And that is The Coffin Path by Catherine Clements and The Binding Song by Elodie Harper. I did start this one, but I haven't finished it, so both those two will be going over into my November TBR, so I can finish them. Also, because all the books I'm currently reading at the moment are library books, I've returned most of them before doing this review, so I will try and put like a cover page, a book cover picture in a corner somewhere. So I'm not going to do these books in order of what I read or how I read them. They're just going to be in order of what's currently written in my journal. The first one is The Dark Descent of Elizabeth Frankenstein by Christian White. I gave this book 3 stars. The main outline of this story is about a desperate, deceited and conniving truths behind Elizabeth Frankenstein. It was an enjoyable book to some aspects of it. Like, it was nice to see someone's change on the original classic using one of the characters from it. But the main thing in this book was mostly this self-centered female who couldn't think of anyone else but herself until things started going wrong. And that's when she started thinking of others. And then she tried to repent for it, but by then it was too late. The characters in the story were well done, the parts that you could get outside of the main character. I believe that the author, Christian White, did a really marvellous job on Frankenstein and him being this scary monster type thing until afterwards. So it was, like, the characters in itself were really good. But the book dragged on a lot about her being so self-centered and thinking of herself only, and the only reason she'd go and find Victor is because she needed him to survive, otherwise she wasn't going to survive. And it was just, it wasn't something that I thought was a descent into, like a dark descent. She was already in that dark, desperate place, and she was trying to claw her way out, but it was already too late, is basically the feel I got from the book. It wasn't so much she was descending into darkness. So it wasn't what I expected. It wasn't... I did enjoy most parts of it, but that was mostly the character building and the way the characters played out and how things twisted in it. I also enjoyed how Victor Frankenstein's brain was really, really twisted from a young age, to state as to why he came up with these ideas of bringing someone back from the dead and stuff. So it was really well done in those aspects, but I don't know, it lacked off a lot for me because of it was mostly centered around this one person who only thought about preserving her own life by using others around her. Right, so the next one is the non-fiction book club book I have, or had, and that is The Secret World of Johnny Depp by Nigel Goodall. I gave this 4 stars. It only takes Johnny Depp's career into 2006, which probably would have been better for me to have researched that up first to find out how far this book was a proper autobiography of his works or not, because I kept thinking why it was missing some of the stuff I've seen him in, but had other stuff he was into. But it did show his life outside of acting, so it showed him as a musician. It showed his ups and downs through his personal life with his marriages and divorces and family and all those other little things that you don't generally tend to, or you do if you read magazines, but I never have overly read gossip magazines. There is a lot of amazing quotes within this autobiography. A lot of things I've screenshotted, and just so I can keep them with me because they sound amazing. I believe people who like Johnny Depp as an actor will enjoy this book and everything it has to do with it. There was a few things I didn't know he starred in, but it stated he did. And there's a lot of things that it shows, like I said, behind all the actor part. But the other thing I enjoyed, sorry, I'm reading notes and it's jumping around in my head. The other thing I enjoyed is how they showed how he came to be acquainted with some people too. They didn't just go, oh, he met this person through this person. It was, he had a relationship with this person, which was a positive one, and this person then turned around and spoke to this person explaining what he was like as an actor or as a musician or as a person, and they decided to have a meet-up, and it went into that sort of detail, so you don't just go, right, well, from this producer found him. No, it went, right, this producer thought all of these were the good traits about him, took it to this one going, well, you want this sort of person for your movie, he's capable of doing all of this and bringing all of this with him. Sorry. My brain just blanked. It's been doing that a lot lately. But, like I said, it was a really good autobiography. I really did enjoy it. It has a few really good illustrations as well as quotes. And I believe it was deserving of the 4 stars. It didn't get 5 stars because, one, my fault. I expected it to go further in his career than what it did because I didn't do my research. But another one was, there was some things that seemed like they jumped and rushed over trying to get the full lot in there, and it skipped around, so it kind of got a little confusing in some areas. But outside of that, it was a really enjoyable read for a non-fiction book. The next one is The Fade by Dimitri Lanetta. I gave this book 5 stars. I actually really enjoyed this book. It was an amazing story. I think how to describe it without giving everything away. We'll just say it's a ghost story. It's in the synopsis is a ghost story. If you watch my TBR, you'll hear the synopsis and you'll figure out it's a ghost story. But from the characters' interaction, the characters themselves, everything about this book was really well written and really well played out. There's stuff I'd like to say that I really enjoyed, but if I did, then I'd be giving away the book, and that's a bad thing to do. I couldn't really find any flaws in this book for a fantasy book or fiction book. It was really realistic and in the way that people interacted and behaved and spoke and like everything, but all of it was like little small things that really should have ticked in your head from knowing from the synopsis that it was a ghost story, didn't actually tick in your head until after. So it has this big dramatic build up and like your brain has to try and work things out, but you just can't find the matches until the end, which was amazing because I love books that leave you guessing all the way through. It did have some small things that I didn't like about it, but I guess at the time I didn't like them because I didn't know how it ended. Once I got the ending, then those things clicked into place and it seemed more... I just made the effect more of what I felt about this story. Anyone who likes a good crime or ghost story will enjoy this book. And I highly recommend really anyone reading it. It's not a fast-paced book, but it's not slow either. It's just one of those ones you really have to pay attention to while reading. So, the next one is In the After, also by Dimitri Lanetta. I gave this one 3.5 stars. This is a dystopian, I would partially say sci-fi alien sort of book. It is a first book. It is as its title states, in the after number 1. The characters in it were really well thought out and done, minus, say, her mother, the main character's mother. I didn't overly feel that she was done really well or was the real mothering type. She was more the strict, I stick to all rules no matter what, and my child only means something as long as it gives me a good image sort of feeling from her. I might be wrong, but that was what I felt from her, so I didn't overly enjoy that character. There is some hidden stuff within this book. I want to go on to the next book so I can find out if my assumptions are correct. I've got there's characters in it that have got these things that it clicks in your brain as you're reading it, which is good because it gets you intrigued in continuing the story. But at the same time, I have to wait for the next one, which is what's going to kill me, because it still ticks in my head going, but I want to know if I'm right or if I'm wrong, or what the go is and why it's playing out that way. I believe people who enjoy dystopian books will enjoy this book, probably a little more than I did. I think I enjoyed it less because it was a slow-paced book to begin with, but at the same time it just didn't hold my interest. I sometimes don't mind alien books, but I'm not a big one on alien books. And this one's twist is really good, but it's just, I guess it's the first book, so the first book's trying to build you up to something, and I just felt a little left off from the first book. Yeah, I reckon it's because I felt a little left off from the first book. I need the second book, like, straight away. It's one of those ones that I need to just let it flow through and get the story all the way through to maybe enjoy it more. Alright, so the next one is the fiction book for the book club, and that's Dark Lover by J.R. Ward, which is number 1 in the Black Dagger Brothers. I gave this 4 stars. It is a really good read. It focuses around 2 characters, and I'm pretty sure the others in the series focuses around different characters. The main character I wanted to see more of actually dies at the start. And I can't tell you anymore because it destroys it. But no, he dies at the start, which is very sad and heartbreaking. And yeah, I don't know. It's hard to speak about it because I want to say more, but I can't. But he dies, and it's a horrible thing to do. But you find out he's like the dad of the main character, the chick, and there's a reason why he had to die. So it would push 2 characters together. I do enjoy the interactions between them. I understand the pull of mates when it comes to supernatural creatures. Obviously, Wraith, the main male character, is a vampire. And I can't remember the chick's name now. And I haven't got it written down. Right, so the main female character, she's meant to be turning because she's half. Her father was a vampire and her mother was a human. So she's what some people would call a vampire. Not in this book, she's just a half-blood. I don't think they actually have a term in that book for it, but they're meant to be, they're meant to have a pool together, so they're meant to be mates. It's felt a little too rushed, but I guess in one way, for the story and how it went, it was understandable why they needed to rush it and why things needed to pull quicker for them. I will admit it was really good when they first saw each other and the reactions that were happening and all that, as well as the traumatic thing that the main female character just went through before Wraith showed up. Was really, really good. I enjoyed the way the author didn't just go, oh, she just got over that traumatic thing and dealt with it. She turned around and went, no, well, this is what she has to work through first. I do look forward to reading the rest of them, only because I want to know about the other characters in the story, because each book is based around a different member of the Brotherhood. And I also want to know about I can't remember his name either, the cop that was in it, because he plays an important role in all of it, and it's rather interesting, it's funny, it's sometimes. But like I said, the only downfall I found in this book was just how quickly they bonded and kept bonding that quickly. And although they slightly questioned it, they didn't fully question it. It was just a bit off-putting for me. I think I've read too many books where that happens too much and I'm kind of over it. So the next one is Whispers in the Dark by Jonathan Aycliffe. Yes, I do have it. I've still got it with me. I'm pretty sure it was the last book. Yep, it was the last book I finished in October. I gave this book 2 stars. It was too slow paced. It didn't have a lot of interest for me. It is a historical, I guess you could say ghost or paranormal story. There's the aspect to it that is all there, but it's not all there, I guess. It's hard to explain it. This is set back in the 19th century. I can't say much because it gives it away, which is going to drive me nuts. But it didn't have everything that I thought it would have in it, I guess. It was just a very dragging, slow-paced, has to put you through hell because I guess the main character's going through hell at the same time. Sort of book. I'm trying not to be mean, but I generally didn't overly like the book. The synopsis, everything about the book seemed like it was going to be good. Even the starting and the background of this character and everything. But the main thing it seemed like was that it was just focused on the main character's family that had already perished, and then focused on her extended family that she's moved in and how they're all completely and utterly psychotic and nuts and all that, and split personality sort of thing. And then the main event that happens, and then it's just ended, and you go back to, because it starts out that it's a letter to some other person, either a priest or a doctor or something like that, and it goes back to them talking after reading parts of her journal that she wrote up. But it's very, very, very slow paced, and it just keeps dragging on about older stuff that just doesn't get you anywhere. I did enjoy one introduction to one of the characters. It's a ghost in it. That was actually really, the way things came to light on it was pretty good. But I didn't enjoy the other characters in the book either. She goes into a town, and town has people who are diverse and they're all the same. Everyone in this story was mopey and dreary, and they feared the 2 characters at their house at Barris Hall, I'm pretty sure. Yep, Barris Hall. And they wouldn't talk about nothing. Everyone feared it. And there's bound to be someone that doesn't fear it. There's bound to be someone around that'll talk about it and stuff. But they're all fearing, and if that person asks me to do something, I'd better do it. And yeah, I don't know, it's not for me. I guess for people who like a slow-paced paranormal book, someone else might enjoy it, but just not me. And I find that really, really, really sad to say, because I really wanted to enjoy the book. Like I said, it had a lot of promise. The starting out had promise. Part of the way through started to seem like it was going to pick up, but then it just kept dragging back down, and it was just really hard to deal with. Alright, so I just realised I ended with a really negative thing. That's all the books I managed to read in October. I'm sorry about being negative in that end one a lot. I realise that my negativity seems to upset some people, and even when I'm not being negative, that seems to upset some people. If you don't overly enjoy a book, I've realised that sometimes you're kicked from websites for not enjoying a book, which is sad. But yes, that's every book I read in October. I'm hoping to finish the other two at the start of November. I will be doing my November TBR next. And I hope to see you all, or hear from you all in the next video. And bye.